Hey guys, Amanda from Offgrid Homestead here. It is a seriously gorgeous spring day. So we're out in the garden doing some prep work. I'm going to be starting a berry patch, though it's going to be in a line along our fence line, so I guess it's not exactly a patch. Along the fence line, we've got some other trees. They're called lily-pilly trees, and they produce a small, crisp, almost like apple type fruit, and you can make jellies out of it and wine out of it, we've heard. So these were some of the first trees we put in. Because they're fruit producing, they're technically part of our fruit orchard, though we haven't shown you guys these before. So they're along our fence line, and in between them is where we're going to be planting our berry canes that I picked up from someone locally. Before we do that, we've got a whole bunch of weeding to do. I've got my herb garden that is just a schmozzle and needs some serious weeding. So that's what we're up to today. This is the mess that is my herb garden. So I'm weeding this today. See down in the corner here, that's where Corey has put through the first pipe that will get us started with our irrigation. Take it up to that corner and then down the fence line. Might be battling the bees to get these daffodils out today. Might have to wait till they go to bed. This is one of those lily-pilly trees I was just telling you about. So the new growth is like beautiful and red, and they produce, and then that slowly turns to a deep green and more mature leaves, and the berries are a beautiful pale pink colour. This is the fence line that will have the berries along it. Corey's already started weeding out underneath the lily-pilly trees. Now these trees are not very big at the moment, but they grow very large, like 6 metres, 10 metres tall, but that will take quite a few years. So I've got 6 berry plants that will be placed along here from my herb garden back along this fence, probably 3 to 4 metres apart. See how we go. Now with the power of editing, you don't have to suffer the boring weeding part. It's done. Now that we can actually see what herbs I've got in my herb garden, I'll take you for a little tour and show you what I've got going on in there. I'm just going to start down this end because this bed is just kind of in prep mode. This is where I've dumped all the weeds. So basically they're going to rot down, compost exactly where they are, clear the path. Nice little rock wall that we built with some steps. Okie dokie. We have thyme either side of these steps. Thyme and thyme. Here we've got some garlic chives. Country cream oregano. Hot and spicy oregano, apparently. So this is a variegated lemon thyme. That is a spicy basil that is not doing so well. So this is a spreading rosemary. Variegated sage, some dill that's going gangbusters, and down the front here just got some standard oregano, a few little clumps of it. Okay, this plant here, it's looking a little bit worse for wear, but this was just a couple of small cuttings that I pinched out of my mum's garden of scented geranium, which is citronella. So I had to cut it out of its pot. It just, it had rooted really well, and it had sent roots from the pot into the ground. Had to cut it out, replanted it with some piggy post, and we'll see how that one goes. Right, up here. Now all these are peas that have sprouted up from some pea mulch that I used a while ago. So I'm just going to let them do their thing. Cut them down, let them compost in place later. Here we've got some mint, going very well. That's just standard mint. chocolate mint. This is a native violet. It suffered a bit from my weeding activities. That's alright, it'll bounce back. Those little purple flowers are edible. We've got some rosemary that's rooted. I took cuttings off again from my mum's place. It's another geranium and some lavender, which is still alive but looking a little bit worse for wear. And these are the lily-pilly trees. You can see the one over there that's going really, really well. So this is obviously just the start of my herb garden. It's just a little one. Those seedlings have been in for, I just got them as a little tube stock, and they've been in for a few months now. Planted them over winter. I'll probably expect to see them grow a lot more over this spring warmer period. The plan is to put irrigation through here. I spoke about that earlier. We'll run that around and it will just be a sprinkler type irrigation. I won't do drip to each and every plant. I plan to expand this sort of bed by bed with little rockeries and paths and that sort of stuff, and build out my cottage garden at the front of the house here. And this will have the go-to herbs, culinary herbs. It'll have like other useful edible plants, edible flowers, some perennial food crops, your medicinal type plants. That's why I've got the citronella, which is good for pests and that sort of thing. So I've got a whole wish list of herbs that I want to plant here, and not just in this sort of bed behind me, but as I expand this cottage garden. If you've got any must-haves that I should consider for my garden, please let me know. Tell me what you think. We are in a temperate, semi-arid zone. So if you're in a similar sort of climate and you have something that grows well for you, let me know. Yeah, so when you're building gardens for the first time, a lot of experimentation, see what grows, see what doesn't, and going from there. Morning guys, it is another seriously gorgeous spring day here at Rock Pile. Didn't quite finish off with you guys after cleaning up the herb garden, so it's a new day. Today I'm going to focus on getting those berry bushes planted out. So I am just going to start getting all my stuff together, and I'll show you what berry bushes that I got. I'll take you through the prep for starting my berry patch. Okay, so I'm at the front where I'm going to be planting the berry bushes, and I'm just going to be doing it like along that fence line there. Just spacing them out so it won't be a berry patch as such. So I got my stuff together. I've got all my plants. I have got some extra manure. I've got some piggy post soil, which I'm going to work in with some of the native soil when I dig the holes. I've got a hat because I got sunburn when I was doing the weeding for the herb garden, even though I was wearing a cap. So I should have been wearing this to start with. So I'm going to take you through the berry bushes I got them from a guy locally, and there's 5 different types and they're about $10 each. So, and I ended up getting 2 of one type just because I had extra money. Okay, so the first one I have is a thornless blackberry. Now I did get a few different thornless varieties, and even though the cuttings that they're grown from are essentially clones of the parent thornless plant, if you do have shoots coming out from the roots, it can revert. So I'll just need to keep an eye on that. The blackberry is like very large, very sweet berries. It can handle a frost, which is good because during the winter time we get into the minuses. And it requires like a neutral soil. Actually, most of these require a bit of a neutral soil. There's one that tends towards acidic, and I'll tell you which one that is when I get to it. And for that one, I might just beef up the nutrients I put in the hole, like with some manure, and I might just manage that with additives over time and see how we go with that. They're all deciduous, so they'll lose their leaves in winter. So number 1 was the thornless blackberry. Number 2 is the youngberry. Again, this is a thornless variety, and again, if you have shoots coming out from the rootstock, it may revert. So yes, it can handle frosts. Number 3 is a boysenberry, and this one has thorns on it. Boysenberries are bright red to almost black. They're quite tart and sweet, and they're really good in pies and jams and stuff. So I'm excited about the boysenberries. Again, a bit of a neutral soil, and I'm looking for this to fruit around December. Number 4 is a heritage raspberry. This guy here was bred in the USA in the 60s from a hybrid of both American and European raspberries, and they're meant to be able to handle like our long hot summers, and this is meant to fruit through to the autumn. So for us, that will be like March, April, May, which will, if our first berries start fruiting at the start of summer in December, it kind of extends our berry season, and not everything is ready all at once. Number 5, and this is the one I got 2 of, and this is the Sylvan berry. So this was developed in Sylvan, Victoria in Australia in the 70s. One of the reasons why I got 2 of these ones is because the gentleman that I was purchasing them off said that this was his wife's favourite. So it says that this is the type of berry, it's a kind of cross between a boysenberry and a marionberry, and they hold on the bush quite well, like during the heat, so they don't go all mushy and turn to jam on the cane when the weather gets too hot. So that will give me probably a little bit more leeway around harvesting and using them and preserving them. So I'm really excited to see how these go here. Everything is a bit of an experiment when you're building a new garden in a new region, and we've only been here a few years, or a couple of years, which is quite young for a garden, and we're still kind of planting everything out and feeling out what the climate is doing for our plants. How I'm going to tackle this is I'm going to go through and mark out where I want my plants. The 2 Sylvan berries I'm going to plant relatively closer together compared to the other ones. I'm probably going to like pop them in between the trees, the lily-pilly trees we've got there. So even as the lily-pillies grow, they'll provide like a little bit of shade, but they won't shade them out when they're fully grown. I'm going to dig a hole maybe like 4 times bigger than this, so maybe like twice as wide, and like another 1 deep. Right, so the first thing I need to do is dig some holes. Put a hat on, dig some holes. So this is a raspberry, and this is the one that needs a slightly more acidic soil. So I'm going to put some extra manure in here, plus the piggy post. Mix it in with the native soils. I've got some extra fertiliser as well, since they're all starting to leaf. A bit of nitrogen, and we'll see how we go from there. I'm going to go through and add like the various amendments to each hole. and so I can mix it through the native soil, and then I'll pop them in. After that, I have to go get some mulch. Right, so that is all the berry bushes planted, mulched and watered. I'm going to take you over there for a look and just make a record of which one is which in case I forget to label them again. Alrighty, for the record, closest to the far gate we have the Heritage Raspberry. Next one in line, Boysenberry. Next we have Youngberry. This guy here is Thornless Blackberry. Then up here we have 1, 2, which are our Sylvanberries. Nice. Alright guys, we are warming up out here. I'm going to head inside for a drink of water. I think we'll wrap this up for the day. Thank you so much for joining me as I weeded my herb garden and then planted my berry bushes. That's super exciting. We're going to have to run irrigation to those, which is a job on Corey's list. We'll probably get to that this weekend because we need to head out of town to get the correct irrigation pipe that we need. And we also desperately need to do an orchard tour because it's only been 2 weeks, but things have changed a lot. So once Corey's home, I'm going to grab him and we'll do an orchard tour. That'll probably be a separate video because there's lots to see. But other than that, thanks again guys. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when we drop a new video, and share with your friends. It all helps us. Thanks so much. See you guys.